And welcome to Chart of the Day Cafe for Thursday, March 15th, 2018. Read our disclaimer quickly. Trading stocks is a high level of risk, and viewers should complete their own due diligence on any stock or underlying that they intend to own. 100% of the content of this video and communique is intended for journalistic and educational purposes only. This video and all indicators, strategies, and articles herein should not be construed as investment advice. Not making any recommendations, always for your further homework. Good morning, Sue here. Hope you've had a great week so far. Lots going on in the market, so with that I'm going to jump straight into today's video. If you're a regular viewer, then you know I always start my videos off with a look at the Russell Index. And for that I use the IWM, which is the ETF that represents the Russell 2000, and I like to step back and take a look at it on a 5-year monthly time frame. I always start off with a look at the Russell because I want to make sure that before I add any new names to my watch list, I'm adding them in a rising market environment. And I use the Russell as my guide because I deem it to be the most interest rate sensitive of the indexes, being that the components of the Russell would be younger companies, more likely to borrow. So with that, let's get into the chart. We're looking at the 5-year monthly. I've taken away all my drawings because I really want you to see the candles the sequence of candles so far for the last several months. We talked about the candle for January having been strong until the last week where that fierce selling came in, bringing price all the way down to this level on the February candle. But price was defended. The candle ended red but with a long wick, and here we are so far for the month of March. We've got 2 weeks left. It's got a bullish orientation so far, but we want to note that we're in that area where price got rejected in January. February struggled, so we want to be extra vigilant here in this area for March. So I'm now going to put my drawings back on, and the chart will get a little more cluttered, but the blue line down here is long-term support resistance, orange is medium, and pink is short-term. The most important line on this chart to me is this black diagonal line. Why? Because the black diagonal line held price in, along with the orange line down here, through all of 2017. These are the monthly candles again. And then in the latter part of 2017, price was able to make it up and over this black diagonal line. It stayed there until February. First month in a sequence of 5 months where price ended up sinking below this black diagonal line. So it's an important line to me. You can see that we're up and over it now for the month of March. So that price strength in the market continues overall. Let's go take a look at it on a 2-year weekly. There's the 2-year weekly. Same orange line, same black diagonal line. And as you can see, last week was bullish. We are up in that zone where price was rejected. So as I mentioned, we're going to be careful, but a bullish orientation overall. Move it away from the 2-year weekly to the 6-month daily. We've had a struggling last couple of days. But as I film this at about 8:15 on Thursday morning, the futures are slightly higher. So with price on the Russell up and over the 8-day EMA, which I use as my guide, this blue line is the 8-day EMA, on the daily, weekly, and monthly, I will be putting a new chart forward for my watch list this morning. And that new name I'm adding to my watch list this morning is Vodaphone Group, ticker symbol VOD, trades on the NASDAQ exchange. Before I get into the chart though, let me tell you a little bit more about the company. If you're familiar with me at Chart of the Day Cafe, then you know I am all about the scores and the catalysts underneath my charts. I focus on value and growth first and foremost, and I've got to tell you Vodafone has a terrific value score with a forecasted earnings growth rate going forward of 35%, a current PE of 25.43, and a dividend yield, wait for it, 5.88%. That is a really nice, rich dividend yield. Love that. I also look for a catalyst underneath my charts, and Vodafone is based out of London, England. 25% of their revenue comes from Africa, the Middle East, and Asia. But last year, their Indian subsidiary, Vodafone India, signed a new partnership deal with a huge cellular company in India. So they are making moves into the Indian market. So I look for those, a chart that has pent-up value, forecasted earnings growth rate, and a nice uptrend, and try to pick an entry that looks attractive and reasonable. So we're looking at the 2-year weekly chart. As you can see on the 2-year weekly, it's in an uptrend, hitting this area of support. It consolidated here for a while through the back half of 2017. Volume came in, it had this beautiful lift. It's fallen down and is now hitting our trend line here in this area. This orange line goes back a long way on the big chart. This is the smaller term time frame, so I'm going to zoom into this area here. So I'm going to move it away from the 2-year weekly to the 6-month daily. You can see it's been kind of consolidating here, but I will draw a line of support. This is micro support, so this is longer term. So I'm going to change this to a different color, like pink. And I'm going to say that although the markets have had a soft couple of days, the futures are flat to slightly positive. If the day resolves itself to the upside, I wouldn't be too surprised to see Vodafone lift here. You know me, I'm all about price being up and over this blue line, which is the 8-day EMA. So the trigger I use is a 3 crossing the 8. So as you can see, the pink has crossed the 8. It's come into this area of support. It's in this squeeze pattern right now. I'm zooming. So the 3 is over the 8. It's squeezing. Should we get a positive outcome on the day in the markets overall, wouldn't be too surprised to see Vodafone start to pick up here and this little beginning of a trend higher continue. We will see. Along with my new watch list pick, I also like to take a look at the sector that it's in, and for that we're looking at IYZ, which is the ETF for the telecommunications space, 5-year monthly chart. You note on the 5-year monthly, it's in an uptrend. It consolidated and traded sideways through the latter half of 14, 15, had beautiful lift in 16. It's come all the way in to my trend line here in early 18. So I really like this setup when I see long-term support in an uptrend. We're looking at the monthly chart, but should this find support here and start to lift, Vodafone with those scores and that dividend will get picked up is my thinking. So love to see that. Along with the sector, I like to take a look at seasonality, and for that I go to equityclock.com. Love this site, it's amazing. And you can see that Vodafone comes into seasonal favor at this time of year as well. No guarantee that happens this year, but always nice to know. I also like to spin over to finviz.com and see if I've got analyst support for my new watch list pick. And as you can see, if you go down to Finviz, put the symbol of your company, you can see analysts have been upgrading Vodafone of late. Love to see that as well. I will also include, there's some positive articles in here. The one I'm going to include with today's video is this one. It's a Motley Fool article. Let me see if I get the title in. Why Vodaphone Group is my top dividend stock pick for 2018. So he goes through his rationale. There's another another article that I'm going to include about that move into the Indian market with today's video as well. And so just to quickly recap, I started today's video with a look at the Russell Index, and I note that overall it's in an uptrend with price currently up and over the 8-day EMA, which is what I use as my guide, on the daily, weekly, and monthly chart. Having said that, it's in an area where price was rejected quite severely in January. So I'm not taking that uptrend for granted, and I'm going to be extra careful in this area. I looked at the sector that Vodafone is in, IYZ, and we note that it's in an uptrend on the 5-year chart, and there's a confluence of support coming into that trend. We looked at the chart for Vodafone. It's been trading sideways on the 2-year chart, but with the beautiful scores underneath it and that catalyst of the move into India, it may move off this area of support and start to pick up along with the sector overall. Vodafone has an excellent value score, an excellent growth score with a forecasted earnings growth rate going forward of 35% and a current dividend yield, this is the real sweet spot, 5.88%. Wow. It has a 3 and 8 EMA cross already, although as we pointed out, it's in a squeeze and it needs to lift here, so check the box. It's got seasonality in its favor, check the box. Analyst support, we looked at Finviz. It's got a current PE of 25.43, and it doesn't look as though earnings have been announced yet. Thank you for watching today's video. Have a great weekend, and my next video goes out next Tuesday. Thanks for watching.